very end of a school transition. This is no longer school against school. It's all about the kids now. It's no longer about the administration. It's about the board. I'm going to hold you guys all accountable for what happened from here on in the school transition. No more going after Susan. I'm coming after all you guys. I don't know what I'm more depressed about right now. Not seeing a full board or not seeing a community that had our back. A community that we thought were going to be together. Where's all the people that's supposed to be here to help us out? That's the community. If not, you guys voted the school, close the school, and the community's not here no more. They gave up, obviously. That's sad. But what's more sad is the way you guys run this board. Danielle Luba could not be here. But the last meeting we had, I made one comment to you guys. And I said, remember what number? You guys remember what number? 1. 1 child, 1 accident, 1 lawsuit. The day after, you're probably well aware of the meeting, Danielle's son eloped out of our school and made it out the door and ran around the field. If it wasn't where Glenn Warden was, he would have been out into the road. Thank God it's set back where it is. Now we're moving the DS1, DS2, DS3 kids all to Glenville. I hope your staff is ready to run. I guarantee you half of that staff aren't going to be able to put up with these kids and catch them before they go in the road. If you look at the pictures I gave you, the first one is a regular picture of a satellite picture of Glenville. You flip it over, there's a second picture. You see I wrote on there, Glenville School. The door on the left is 174 feet to Route 147. Yes, I went the other day with my snow boots and I walked it off. If you look to the right, the door on the right is 84 feet to Bolt Road. I want to know how you guys are going to fence this school in. You're going to make it one large fence from end to end, or you're going to make it 2 separate. You can't make it 1 separate for the kids at DS1, DS2, DS3, because they're entitled to use both areas. If them kids get out of either inside doors, they're going on them roads. And all it is but woods and high traffic. I would not want to be in your shoes if that one kid, that one accident turned into 1 lawsuit. You better follow through and make sure the transition is done the right way for these poor kids. And make it fair that they have opportunity to play both areas, not one. And you better have a staff that's highly trained to catch these kids when they book it out that door. Let's see any of you guys keep up with a 6, 7-year-old. Guarantee you can't do it. I have a hard time keeping up my 8-year-old grandson, but I do it. I'm just very sad that it comes down to this. And you know what? I'm trying to do the best I can to help you guys out and help the community out, make it for transition. And I'm going to see it through. I'm wearing this shirt right here with pride. What's a B? Always a B. But you guys, as a board, need to step up. I'm really sad to see 2 of them not here. I ask myself every day, when I'm on the road driving in my career that I do, with an hour drive, 3 hours, why would anybody want to sit on this board? I can't figure it out. Is it because you want to puff your chest and say, I'm on the board of Scotia-Glenville? I don't know. Is it because it looks good on my resume saying I'm on the board? I don't know. But you guys are no better than the community. We're all the same. Just putting you guys up there doesn't mean nothing to me. Whether you guys have a bachelor's degree, or whether you guys have whatever you have for a background, doesn't make you no better than us. I had one specific person keep telling me that they are a amenable person in this community, that they stick out, that they do this and they do that for the sports. I do the same thing. I do a K through 2, K through 3 kids. I do basketball. I do soccer. Does it make me better than anybody here? I am asking you to make this a peaceful transition and ride it out. Ride it out with the community and communicate. And I'm telling you right now, there's 3 years up for board re-election this year. Get your act together. I'll back you up to a certain point, but if you can't start backing the community up, step aside. Let somebody else take your place. And the last thing I'm going to say, and it's not a dig at you, Susan. You've done the best you can, and you're still doing the best you can. But when this is said and done with, and just don't take this personal, retire. Enjoy life. Enjoy what's left. Nobody knows what we have after. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
just write it out and enjoy some of what's left of your life. Thank you.
And turn it over to Superintendent's comments.
So tonight we're going to talk a bit about the timeline in terms of going from 4 elementary schools to 3 elementary schools. I want to say a couple of things about this. The first is the timeline will post on the Reimagining Our Schools website probably first thing tomorrow morning, certainly not later than midday. Once that's up, because I'm not going to read this to you and it's pretty dense, I would encourage people to take a very close look at it, and then through the ROS process, let us know if you have any questions, any feedback, if you're wondering where is this in this process. I've had eyes on this along with mine, but I would be the first person to say you may be thinking about things that hadn't occurred to me or I'm thinking are part of a bigger process here. So I will look forward to your feedback. So we're going to take our 4 schools and we're going to turn them, make them create 3 schools. And my goal in that process is that we ensure an equitable distribution of students and our special programs, that there's continuity of instruction, that our staff and students are safe, that we are labor compliant, and that we do what we set out to do, which was manage this process to create some fiscal gains for us. So I'm going to show this to you the way it worked in my brain. And I say that knowing that for other people this will seem a bit convoluted, and I'm going to talk with Kathy, my resident expert tech person, and Megan about perhaps creating a flow chart that works a little differently than this. But there are a number of things we have to do. Some of them are governance and legal things. Some of them are student pieces. Some of them are staff pieces. Some of them are facilities pieces. Certainly there's a transportation piece. And I've tackled these separately. So you will notice that when I give you the band of dates during which time that work occurs, as we go through this tonight, you're going to see those bands are overlapping because we're going to have to do more than one thing at a time. So one of the things that we need to do now that we have reached a consensus opinion, the board has reached a consensus opinion about which school, is to report that to the state education department. And that's my responsibility, and that'll happen in the next week or so. That's just required by law. It's a piece of governance and legal requirements. I'll take care of that. I also want to begin having our communication work group communicate in a bi-weekly manner about what goes on in terms of filling, meeting, all of these things you're going to see tonight so that they have a way to do that. Megan doesn't know she has that as her assignment yet, but she will. And those will be brief. Here's where we are in the process of transition. And one of the things that I'm very anxious to do in the month of March is to talk to our Y-Care director so we can get a sense of Y-Care programs for the coming year. I know Y-Care is very important to our community and our parents. We have identified staff who are potentially going to be faced with reductions in force. And thanks to Sarah and the association, she and I and our HR person, Jill Bush, will be meeting with those employees between now and March 15th, to talk about where they are on the list, to talk about what other options might be available to them here. And then we are also going to start a staff assignment conversation. We don't want to upend all that we do here that works well, but there are going to be needs for people to move into other schools, and we want to get a sense of what their priorities might be. That doesn't mean that everybody gets to move someplace new. In fact, in a perfect world, there'll be few people who move. And when you have a reduction in force, which at this point is 7 teachers, along with other employees, those folks can, in the opposite direction of the layoff, so people who've been employed the longest but are still facing a layoff, can move into positions that are currently not filled, and we will have some of those positions. So although there are 7 teacher reductions, I anticipate some of those people, if they choose to, will be able to move into other open jobs. So when I say we're beginning those conversations, the folks who are facing a reduction in force will hear from us this week with Sarah, Jill, and I all present. But some of those folks we might find other positions for as we move forward in this process. Student placement. Mr. Giannetti and Mr. Arquette and Clara have been working very hard to begin to facilitate that move of students from Glen Warden into the 3 remaining elementary schools. And it is certainly my hope that on or before March 31st, we will be able to let those parents know and their children know which are the elementary schools. We've talked about the current SWAP students, and for those of you who don't know what SWAP is, those are folks who have asked us to move their child to a school other than their home school for various reasons, or a child entered the district when whatever grade level they were meant to be in what would have been their home school was closed, and we moved them to try to create equity in the balance of class sizes. So we have somewhere around 70 students on SWAP right now. Our first goal is to see if we can move those students back into their home schools. But we have to be mindful of these other things on the list, and there will be a SWAP process in May, which is typically when we do SWAP, where we look at current requests and see if there are any things we can do to adjust them. As CPSE and CSE annual reviews continue, and they will continue right through the spring, we're going to determine student placement based upon program needs. So we've proposed program locations. I can tell you that although I would hope we will have the bulk of this information by June 1st, I also know if we get late transfers or if students need multiple meetings to achieve their annual goal, annual plan for the following year, it is not uncommon for schools to be hosting annual reviews in June, sometimes in July. That's just the way it is. But ever hopeful, I'm going to hope we have the bulk of our information by June 1st. We have 3 classes, DS, DS1, and DS2 to Glendale. And next week on March 2nd, Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, the architect will be here to give us the building update. He's also going to show us the design for the fence at Glendale, so he will be here. That will be part of his discussion. And it's not 2 separate fenced areas. It is a large fence. So we are on that. Our co-teaching, which is already at Lincoln, will now have the 1511 program. So the 2 programs that are currently at Glendale will go to Lincoln. And as Mr. Giannetti and Mr. Arquette pointed out, that's a very good combination because we sometimes will have students in 1511 who can go into a co-teach setting for some portion of the day. That will build that resiliency there, and then we'll continue to have co-teaching at Sacandaga. All of the other services that are available to students, resource room, consultant teacher related services, will be provided per the IEP recommendations. So if you're recommended for one of these specialized programs, DS, the co-teaching, the 15-1, the co-teaching, that drives where you go for your program. But resource room, consultant teacher related services will be provided most likely in all of the buildings for the remainder of the students who need those IEP supports. English as a new language students will still be at Scotia-Glenville. So our plan is to keep that population there. Those students receive an annual assessment, which drives the level of support they get year to year. So we'll see what the annual assessments in spring do. And of course, as we get new enrollments throughout the spring and the summer, those children will go to SAC. That will remain the same. And right now, the way transportation, which I'll talk about a bit more, is going to work, we're going to take the current kindergartners, who will be our first graders, and the current fourth graders, who will be the fifth graders, that band of kids, first through fifth, next year's first through fifth. Those children will get placed first, if you will. So will children who are kindergartners who have a sibling in one of the other schools. So we're going to, you might recall me saying we're going to keep families together. For our incoming K students who don't have siblings or don't have special needs that are driving their placement or don't have ENL needs, we're going to work with a group called Transpar, who are going to help us create the boundaries and the flex zones so that we have a bit more flexibility to move students year to year. So that will be the beginning of that process, is those new incoming K students without siblings, students with special needs, students, who don't have special needs, and the ENL students, because we know they go to Scotia-Glenville. So we're going to start building those new boundaries with Transpar. And I'll talk a bit more about that. This is phase 2 of planning and staffing. As I mentioned, we will be talking to folks. We're going to ask folks about their preferences as we begin to look at where we will place teachers based both on what they currently teach, if they have a desire to teach something else, if maybe I teach 4th grade, but there's not a 4th grade I can go to, but I could go to 5th grade. Rick and I and Jill and Sarah, we will be considering all of those things, and that will also be true of our non-certificated staff. So those would be our secretaries, our buildings and grounds people, or our custodians, as we move forward, so that we can begin to determine who will be in which buildings, the adults. The board will have to act on our final staff reductions as we recommend them. That will be out in March a little bit. May 1st is the date that staff get reasonable assurance letters that says you're coming back to work here next year. So I want to hit that date. And the board will be talking about finalizing the disposition or the repurposing plan for Glen Warden. This is my call to arms. Ms. Polakowski and Ms. Federico have been very hands-on with their staff and student transitions group. Kimmy serves on that group. They have come up with a list of activities that they think would be great for youngsters. I believe the PTAs are also talking about that. I had a call from Mayor Bucciferro today. He wants to do something with all of our kids in Collins Park in July. So these are ideas they have brainstormed, but they are a small group, small but mighty, and they're not going to be able to do any of these things without some hands-on help. So we're going to be looking for some folks to join staff and student transition planning in the sense of helping to bring these things to life. It's not reasonable to think that the 10 people on that group could do that. So more about that as we move forward. Outstanding. That is great to know. So I'm sure folks have other ideas. I know they've talked about a time capsule, some other kinds of things. So again, we're interested in the ideas, but we really need some workers who can help us pull these things together and off. Rotary wants to help. Glenville and Scotia had talked about that. I know Kimmy and Chad can keep me up to date about those discussions. When we talk about packing up and the logistics for moving, I'm talking about staff packing up and they're moving. So I am hoping that classroom assignments are confirmed and distributed no later than mid-May. You're not moving in May. We'll finish out the school year where we are. And I'm counting on IT and B&G, that would be Megan's group and Drew's people, by May 31st to develop a move logistics calendar, so that we know once school is over and we can start moving boxes into new places that we're ready to go. We've got to talk about packing up classrooms, the plan for moving the instructional materials to new locations, which I would see happening in July, the plan for unboxing materials, setting up classrooms, the plan for redistribution of IT resources, and we'll be working very closely with our association about all of this and how we might best facilitate that for folks. We have to think about the logistics piece of transferring students' cumulative files, so the paper files that we still have, how we're going to get those to the right places, and then it will take an update of our new student information service system so that we get everybody in the right places. And I would see all of that happening no later than the end of July. I would also say to you, although a final decision has not been made, it would certainly be, I think, in students' best interest, as well as for the district, if we do summer program, extended school year, and Learning Leaps, if we're able to offer it, at Glen Warden this summer, so that students are in a familiar place, our DS students, and then we transition them to Glendale. So that could include time at Glendale before the school year starts, visiting Glendale during the program. Again, those things I'm counting on Mr. Piccone to help me with, and I've been talking to a couple of the parents about what makes sense to them. That would also mean we could focus all of Drew's people's energies on the 3 schools where we're going to have students in the fall, so that I can be sure they are properly outfitted, that our IT is there and working, that everything's up and running, they're clean, they're tidy, because we could do that part for Glen Warden after summer program, which is about the middle of August. Transportation, folks are already talking about route modeling, and that's based on the hand assignment of students that folks are working through right now, balancing class size, making sure we're attentive to our students with special needs, our students with ENL needs. As I mentioned, transportation, Mr. Arquette, Mr. Giannetti will be working with Transbar. That's going to start almost immediately to determine those attendance boundaries for our incoming kindergarten students and help us with the flex zones. And part of that will be where we place students now when we talk about those going to 1st through 5th. And we're going to contact DOT about creation of a school speed zone on Sacandaga Road. I've reached out to Angelo Santa Barbara and to Mary Beth Walsh, folks I've worked with before, to talk with them a bit about that and whether they could put some additional pressure, perhaps. But DOT has their way of doing business, so we'll work through that. In August, by August 20th, we will have finalized the routes. Claire will conduct dry runs as needed, so we'll have a sense of the timing, and parent-guardian communication of pickup times and drop-off times. We should be in good shape for the opening of school. So that was a really fast look at where we're at here. Again, I encourage everybody to look at the timeline as it posed, to please reach out with questions or concerns, comments, other things. The more eyes, the better. Thank you.
Did anybody have any questions for Susan on that presentation?
You answered one of them already. Thank you, Susan, on ESY and Learning Leaps. When it comes to the actual logistics of the moving, is that going to, are we anticipating any additional costs? Because I think we already have normal operations that need to be happening during the summer. Do we anticipate any kind of overages like OT for B&G for also kind of doing this as well? Or is it too early to tell on that kind of thing?
I'm not anticipating additional costs, and here's why. Drew, typically we bring in summer workers who could do some of that moving and schlepping kind of thing as part of their summer assignment. But until Drew's people really dig into it, I probably should be careful about saying I think we can do it cheaply.
Okay, thank you.
Drew, would you add anything?
I think we'll be okay.
Okay, thank you, Drew.
You're welcome.
And additionally, I keep going back when we talk about our staff that we're going to be retaining or maybe losing. Where do aides and monitors come into all of this? When will they be aware of if they'll have a position? This is something I don't hear.
Aides and monitors are annual appointments.
Okay.
So they technically don't have seniority in the sense that teachers have seniority or teaching assistants have seniority. So typically, if you have a position and you want to come back, because we're so short-staffed in terms of generally people get to come back. In fact, I'm sure we must have open positions right now we haven't been able to fill, because that's pretty difficult. But that, again, is based more on what's needed annually in the annual appointments. TAs have a seniority list, part-time TAs have a seniority list, and full-time TAs have a seniority list. We were anticipating one fewer teaching assistants in our pro forma that we showed you for the 1.5 million. But again, we have unfilled positions right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One thing I wanted to talk about is what we're doing for the staff and for the students, what we have since the decision was made, and what we plan on doing in the future to help them emotionally, that sort of thing. Is there what has happened so far, and what do you anticipate happening as we move forward?
In speaking with Andrea during the week, the board made a decision on Monday that Tuesday we had additional counseling in the building. The shared counselor spent extra time at Glen Warden. There was not a huge number of students. I've thought in weekly. At this point, certainly Andrea could reach out if she needed more, but given that we're just coming off the break and today was that first day, I did not hear from her today, and I'm not anticipating.
Are we going to attempt to do things as time goes? I mean, I know we have the things that the transition committee we've been working on, but in school, having any plans to, in case students or staff need that kind of support?
Well, certainly students always have a way to seek support in their schools by going to their teacher. They could ask to speak to the psychologist, the social worker. Those services are available in our schools regularly. I don't know if the student transition team has talked about other kinds of supports to students, and certainly staff, we can refer to our insurances. Both CDPHP and Highmark offer services. But we haven't had a request.
Okay, thank you.
Do we know when the parents are going to be notified as to what school their kids are going to?
I'm hoping no later than March 31st
March 31st, okay.
for the currently enrolled kids.
For the currently enrolled in kindergarten, it'll be after April 30th or May 1st.
Transpar, I believe, hopes to have their work with us wrapped up by early April, which would then allow us to talk about what those new boundaries look like and where students would land. Again, for students who don't have current siblings.
And Susan, when students are returning to school, one of the things that the transition team talked about was orientation, like the web program when they're coming into middle school. So we had talked a little bit about maybe doing that for elementary kids. Time frame for that, would that be about the same time we do web here at the middle school if they were wanting to do orientations at the elementary schools? For everybody to get to know each other, walk the school, to see the teachers and meet the teachers? Would that be possible with elementary students, teachers like we do at the middle school?
I think in the timeline they talk about an orientation, and they
I know
were.
it was there a little bit, but I wasn't sure, because as we were
they're
talking
thinking-
as a group, we were like, would that be at the same time frame?
Well, they're talking end of August, which,
Right.
yeah, so it could be, because the holiday falls so late, Labor Day is September 7th, people are actually, teachers, staff are back 2 days in the prior week. 4
I think that was
days.
our question, that was one of our questions,
Yeah,
like.
Superintendent's conference
Yeah.
days. So yes, I think that that's possible. But again, I'd want to talk to that team and see what they had in mind.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Do we anticipate, you're meeting with YCare next week, right?
I hope to, yes.
Do you think there's any chance that we'll end up having another AM portion?
I
know
sure
that
hope so.
A lot of parents I hear from too, certainly
Yeah.
hope so. So I wasn't sure if that could happen.
I'm hoping with 3 schools that, one of the problems we've had in the past is that we can't get enough kids at certain schools for YCare to run there. But I'm hoping that with the change in capacity in the buildings, that we might be in a better position to have that in all 3 schools. Now, whether or not they can do that, I don't know. That's where we've got to have the conversation, but both morning and afternoon.
Thank you.
I'll let you know as soon as I know, Jay.
Thank you, Susan.
I had a question about SWAP. I had found out last week that I guess some of the students that are part of that, it wasn't because of their choice, but because of where the school they were supposed to be was filled up
Yes.
at their level. So now there's concern, we were told to go to this school, our child's been at this school, are they gonna have to now go back to the original school? Are they gonna be included in that group as well, even though they didn't make the choice from the beginning?
Typically, if you did not choose and we moved you, you stay where you're at until you tell me you want to go someplace new.
Okay,
So we will handle it, I would think, that same way.
okay.
And some swap students, for example, those coming into the K-1 program, DS K-1 program, which was a sizable group this past fall. Those students didn't really have a choice, we moved them.
Right.
Same with the ENL students, so it depends.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And typically, we don't move anybody going into 5th grade. They
Okay.
finish out with the kids they're with.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
And once you've had a chance to digest this and look at it a little bit more, just send your questions right to me.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
All right, can I get a motion for number 6, resolution for the school bus purchase proposition number 2?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution, school bus purchase proposition number 2.
Can I have a second?
I I will second.
Open for discussion?
Just to clarify for the community, this is a gas or diesel, correct?
It's not electric.
Thank you, Drew.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody abstain? Anybody nay? Motion carried. Can I get a motion for number 7, the resolution to increase the maximum income level for granting a partial exemption for the real property taxes?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution to increase the maximum income level for granting a partial exemption from real property taxes for school purposes to certain persons 65 years of age or over pursuant to Section 467 of the real property tax law.
Thank you, Chad. Second?
I'll second it.
Open for discussion? No discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Anybody abstain? Motion carried. Can I get a motion for number 8, approve the updated list of purchasing cards?
I'll move to approve the updated list of purchasing cards for Home Depot and for Lowe's and authorize issuance to the employees. It's in the updated list.
Can I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Open for discussion? All right, no discussion. Can I, all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay? Anybody abstain? Motion carried. Can I get a motion for number 9, accept the December 2025 extra classroom activity report?
I'll motion to accept the December 2025 extra classroom activity report.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any nay? Anybody abstain? Motion carried. Can I get a motion for number 10 to request to establish a student club at Scotia-Glenville Middle School?
I move to approve the request to establish a student club at the Scotia-Glenville Middle School for the American Sign Language Club.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Open for discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Anybody abstain? Any nay? Motion carried. Number 11, can I get a motion for the resolution to accept donations for various senior high school award scholarships?
I move to accept the donations for the various senior high school award scholarships and to accept and appropriate the gifts and donations from Stewart Shop to the Fund for the High School Health Science Students, all with thanks.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Any nay? Anybody abstain? Motion carried. Can I get a motion for communications?
Is this the one you usually do? Do you do 13 and 14 together, or is that?
I can't hear you.
Go ahead and do it.
Okay, I'll move communications, AOB, staffing 1 through 3, and the placement of students with disabilities as submitted.
Can I get a second?
I will second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Anybody abstain?
I'm abstaining.
Abstain. Any nay? Motion carried. All right, 15B.
Any questions?
Any questions? Oh, that one. Okay, any questions on payroll warrants, number 43, number 48, number 50? Any questions on check warrants, A45, H14, A46, A47, H15, A49. Okay, any questions on treasurer's report? Okay, other business?
I'd like to congratulate the girls varsity team on their win tonight in sectionals.
Any other business? I do want to wish all of our Odyssey of the Mind teams good luck this weekend. Saturday is competition. Traditionally it is at Shen, but it's going to be at Cobblesville, I believe, this year. Kisaki. I should know. I'm going there. But they've worked really hard this year, and Amanda Schultz has done another tremendous job this year on leading us into this quote-unquote competition battle. So we're very excited, but good luck to all of our teams.
And remember, Founders Day closes on March 1st. It's digitally online, so make sure if you're going to attend, go ahead and sign up there. And if you're unable to digitally pay for anything, then give your local rep.
And it's at a different location this year, right?
Yeah, it's over in Altamont. I don't have it in front of me. Great location. It's going to be what people have come to expect. So it's going to be a good time.
Thank you, Chad. Okay, I'm going to open up the hearing and privilege of the floor again for the second time. Okay, I will close the hearing and privilege of the floor for the second time. And can we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody say no? Anybody abstain?